It started with a box. It's not just any box, but one I hadn't seen in over 2 decades. It was shoved in the darkest corner of my childhood attic, buried beneath old holiday decorations and forgotten furniture. I only went up there to grab an old suitcase for a last-minute trip. But what I found instead wasn't luggage. It was a piece of my past rotting and quietly waiting to wake me up again. A worn cardboard box, taped in layers of yellowed duct tape, the kind my dad used for everything. Scrawled in thick marker, TOYS, 2001. My chest tightened. I hadn't thought about what was in that box in years. And as I sliced it open with a rusty box cutter, a musty smell rose like the breath of something long dead. Inside, nestled in old wrapping paper and cracked plastic shells, was a Furby. Its fur was once light gray, but had faded into something almost corpse-colored. Its ears drooped like melted wax. But it was the eyes that stopped me the round. Plastic LCDs that flickered to life the moment I touched it. No batteries, no power. But the eyes blinked. I stumbled backward, almost dropping it. The attic had no outlets. I hadn't even touched the back panel. And yet the Furby blinked. Then its tiny, plastic beak opened and it spoke. Not in its cutesy, pre-programmed baby talk, not in Furbish, but in a voice I hadn't heard since my grandmother's funeral. A whisper, rasp, a barely there sentence that chilled me to the spine. Feed me. I froze. My breath caught in my throat. I checked its back, no batteries. I opened the panel, confirming the compartment was rusted and empty. Still, the Furby blinked again. You came back, it said next. I didn't scream. I wanted to. But something about the moment felt off script. Like it wasn't supposed to be scary. Like it was testing me watching to see how I'd react. I stuffed the toy back into the box, retaped it, and shoved it behind the insulation, convincing myself it was some weird glitch. A stored electric charge. I made it through the rest of the day by ignoring it. But that night, I had a dream. I was in the attic, surrounded by boxes that whispered in low, hollow voices. One said, "We know." Another, "He remembers." Then the Furby rose from the box. Only it was bigger, taller. Its eyes were human. I woke in a sweat at 3:03 a.m. My phone lit up on the nightstand. A notification blinked. I picked it up, and it showed a message that I hadn't opened. A text from an unknown number, time-stamped at 3:02 a.m. The message read, "Feed me." I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I searched online for similar stories. I typed in every combination of Furby haunted, Furby no batteries, Furby possession. That's when I stumbled upon a Reddit thread in our paranormal. One post buried in the comments told a story almost identical to mine. A user wrote about a Furby that turned on after 15 years. Spoke in sentences it wasn't programmed to know, and said phrases like, "You're not alone, and remember what you did." I couldn't believe it. Another user responded with something worse. They had a Furby that started talking after they tried to throw it away. When they pulled it from the trash the next morning, there were scratch marks inside the lid of the bin, as if something had tried to crawl back out. I slammed my laptop shut. I should have gone to sleep, should have burned the thing. But instead, I went back to the attic. Something inside me had to know. It wasn't just fear now, it was curiosity. Or maybe guilt. I pulled the box out from behind the insulation. The duct tape was already peeled back. The flaps of the box were open, and the Furby was sitting on top. Its eyes flickered the moment I touched it again. But this time it didn't speak. It laughed. Mechanical laugh, almost like a warped recording of a child giggling. But distorted, slowed down. Like a demon pretending to be playful. I hurled it across the attic, heart pounding, and it hit the far wall with a heavy thud. But its eyes stayed on. No cracks, no damage. I decided then and there I'd film it. If I was going insane, I wanted proof. I set up my phone, sat the Furby in the center of the attic floor, and hit record. I spoke to it. "Why are you doing this? What do you want?" Silence. Then the eyes blinked. "You remember her," it said. That stopped me cold. Her. I hadn't told anyone what happened that summer. The summer my cousin died in this house. We were both 10. She'd been playing hide and seek. I was the one counting. I never found her. They found her body in the crawl space under the attic ladder hours later. No signs of trauma, just gone. And now, this Furby was speaking about her. You let her die? It said again. My chest constricted. The video kept recording, but I couldn't breathe. The attic began to feel hot, thick, like the air was choking me. I grabbed the Furby and threw it down the stairs. It bounced, rolled, landed perfectly upright on the hallway floor, eyes glowing, voice rising. You let her die. You let her die. You let her die. I didn't sleep that night, not even for a minute. Every creak of the house sounded like footsteps. Every shadow twisted into a warning. I left the Furby downstairs in the living room, hoping distance would bring some sense of control. But at exactly 3:03 a.m., the same time as the previous night, heard it again. A sound like soft clicking, gears winding, and then a faint whisper. You let her die? The voice wasn't coming from the attic anymore. It was coming from the living room below me. I crept to the staircase, my legs trembling, and then I saw it. The Furby wasn't on the floor where I left it. It was sitting on the third step from the top, staring at me. Its eyes lit up again. She's waiting, it said. I ran. I drove straight to my childhood friend S. Housden, someone who knew everything about what happened when we were kids. I hadn't spoken to him in years. But when I showed up at his door, pale and shaking, he didn't ask questions. I told him about the Furby, about the messages, the voice, and he froze. Slowly, he walked into his garage and came back holding a crumpled photo. Me, him, her, my cousin, Emily. We were all smiling. But in the bottom corner, barely visible, was something I'd never seen before. Behind us, in the shadow of the attic window, was a shape. A hunched animal-like blur. 2 glowing dots for eyes. Next to it, the windowsill was a Furby. I couldn't breathe. Dan told me something I had forgotten, or blocked out. After Emily died, her mom swore she heard her daughter's voice calling from the attic at night, but no one believed her. A week later, she tried to burn all of Emily's things. One toy refused to melt, the Furby. They buried it in a box and sealed it with tape. That same box I had opened last week, I returned to the house that night. I don't know what pushed me to do it. Guilt, curiosity, maybe something else? I went straight to the attic. The Furby wasn't there, but the floorboards were scratched, clawed, like something had been trying to crawl out. Then I heard the voice again. Not mechanical, not childish. Girl's voice, whispering. You finally came back. I turned slowly, heart in my throat. And there, in the far corner of the attic, was a figure. Small, dressed in the same clothes Emily wore the day she died. Her face half-shadowed. Eyes vacant. She didn't move. She just stood there. Watching, I whispered Emily. She blinked, slowly tilted her head. And in a voice that sent ice through my veins, she said, it needed someone new. The Furby appeared in her hands, glowing brighter than ever. Then she vanished, gone, in a blink, and the attic fell silent. I ran down the stairs, out of the house, and never looked back. I moved out the next week, sold the place to a distant buyer who never asked questions. I blocked the attic access. Left the Furby sealed in a lead-lined safe inside. I couldn't bring myself to destroy it. Something told me. It wasn't possible. But the story doesn't end there. 2 months later, I received an envelope with no return address. Inside was a photo, taken from outside the house. My old bedroom window, and pressed against the glass, was the Furby, eyes glowing red. Watching the back of the photo had a message in faded ink. Remembers, do you?